bottom left-hand corner of the map, our blue Protoss player. This is ShoWTimE. And in the top right, our red Terran from the Shopify Rebellion. This ByuN. So, as we dive into our first map of the best of 3, and it is best of 3 here, guys, we'll obviously see what ByuN and ShoWTimE have in store for us. I feel like ByuN and ShoWTimE is always a very fun matchup. I feel like they match up quite well in a macro game where ByuN is always trying to penetrate that defense of ShoWTimE, and ShoWTimE is just trying to hold strong throughout. Yeah, these two have had a lot of fun matches in the past, that is for absolutely sure, for absolutely certain, and can only look forward to seeing what the hell this game is going to bring as we get into map number 1. If you're enjoying the stream again, consider hitting the follow button. If you're really enjoying, of course, do not forget that the WardiTV events happen with your support. You can subscribe to help support these tournaments and help us to run more of them into the future. Of course, there's also, I don't mention this all of the time, but there's also the Patreon page, which does go in towards the WardiTV 2023 circuit, which means events like the Winter Championship are funded, or helped to be funded through the Patreon support. If you want to check that out, patreon.com/WardiTV. 100% of what you pledge on Patreon goes directly into players' pockets. So, if you do want to support these tournaments, then do check that out. It was appreciated. SCV comes in, gets a couple nibbles, probe gets pushed off over to the side. As our CC comes up, we'll have our Nexus already coming in, about halfway done. Sentry coming in, Warp Gate coming up. So far, so good. I'm going to go super greedy. This has become more and more popular in TvP lately, this super fast 3-base setup. This is something that we've not really seen a lot of, but until like the last couple of weeks, I feel like maybe like 3 weeks now, but it feels like recently a lot of players are just doing this, really feeling like the Protoss players aren't doing anywhere near as as many aggressive openings, and so you can just take advantage of that, get this base going super quickly for your third, super high eco, and you go into barracks behind it so you have a good amount of bio to start pressuring with later in the game. Already see a Twilight Council and a second gateway from ShoWTimE is his current starting point. See where he takes that over the next few moments, because obviously there's a lot of twists and turns that can happen there as well, so it's definitely kind of up in the air as to how this will go. Hallucination just flies through the main base, loops around into the natural. Just keeping a general eye on things. I see the 2 barracks are building up, so there's going to be 3 racks in total from ByuN. Like I say, no surprise to see heavy on the bio and setting up with that. As again, our Warp Gate is about to finish. The Blink is still producing. And there is 2 more gateways. So we are going to get our confirmation as to what goes on here. It's going to be 4-gate Blink. ShoWTimE will be the aggressor to start out this game. He is not, not going to let ByuN take the initiative in this series. He wants to be the player kind of making the plays at first. So there we go. That's what we're going to be doing as our few Marines will press forward and just hang out on the natural. A few more Marines up on the high ground. A couple extra gates come through. The Blink on the way up. And we do have the factory still producing on the side of ByuN. Stimpack's already about halfway done. So as soon as that stim is done, we might get some action, but I mean, it's just going to be a Marine count. Probably not. I'm mostly just going to have to use these Marines for defense anyways against a 4-gate Blink, right? So we'll have to be careful of that. And of course, if ByuN holds here, he's got a massive economy because of the 3CC, so you're kind of hoping at ShoWTimE you do manage to do something, because ByuN is super eco-focused right now. He's going to have his third base like 3 or 4 minutes earlier than you do. You need to do some amount of damage, otherwise you're going to be in, like I say, a pretty serious amount of trouble, honestly. I mean, the benefit for ByuN is that he'll have Stim to help him, deal with the Stalkers. But of course, you can't Stim forever. We don't have a starport yet. The reactor's only just now building. The starport's on the way next to it. Again, combat shield's about halfway along, as we do have our starport still coming up, finishing very soon. A few probes Pull around the other side, going to go after the Marine. We do have the Prism. Actually has a couple of units ready to drop off as well to help out here. So, Stalker's just going to blink onto the bunker. We have force fields available. If you do want a force field, then you can do that. Drop that down, block off a little bit. The Bio will come chasing forward. As Prism loads up and gets brought over to the left-hand side. So Prism escapes away. 4 more Stalkers on the way up. And we'll just be seeing the combat shield about to finish too. So again, that combat shield completed. Next few moments, Stalkers are back on the offensive, coming forward again. Fire will be here to greet them, and Stalkers have to just blink back for the moment. A couple of the Stalkers continuing to go down. Guardian shield now popping up. We're still seeing Stalkers die though. I mean, the power of the stim. Problem is you can't stim forever here. You don't have medevacts yet, so healing is an issue. You don't have these units getting higher HP. And we've lost a few SCVs during this as well. Scary chase if there was a force field. You might have lost quite a lot. So we do have a bunker now. Back up on the natural. Quite far back though, so you might just give up these first 2 depots before you can really defend, which is obviously an expense as well. And ByuN will be supply blocked by that move. So there we go. Both depots going down, and well, definitely struggling along to defend against this attack. ShoWTimE in full control for the moment here in game number 1. His own 3rd base on the way. Of course, it is later, way later than it usually would be, but that's because of the 4 gates. He's going to go 3rd base and the Robo Bay. And the one thing keeping ByuN going is the fact he still has that 3rd CC. So he actually still has a ton of workers. And he will, as soon as he gets the freedom to take the 3rd base into location, his economy is going to be absolutely booming. Like, ByuN's eco is going to be fantastic. So that's also a pretty major factor here as the factory, as the starport. Oh my god, I can't talk today. As the medevac gets shot down by the Stalkers. ShoWTimE just finds some further damage. Prism on the side, actually taking a few shots, but not enough to actually be taken down. Stalkers come up, and the bit of Bio will once again stand there to trying to keep fending these Stalkers off. Of course, at this point, I guess the pressure of ShoWTimE will be fading and dimming, but well, you know what it is. I mean, looking at this overall, you've got ShoWTimE is still behind on workers. Like, that 3rd base has been massive for ByuN. And even though I feel like this has been pretty darn good for ShoWTimE, he's traded very well. ByuN's eco, again, as soon as this 3rd comes online, which is just moments after ShoWTimE's 3rd, ByuN's eco is actually going to be ridiculously good. So I feel like we've got to say that we actually kind of like this a fair amount for ByuN. I guess it was never going to be pretty on the defense for ByuN, right? Because again, you just go for this 3cc so early initially. Yeah, that definitely seems to be the case right now as a Bio Force comes forward. We're going to grab a Stalker, 2nd Stalker going down as well. So we've got that charge coming up, going to be finishing very soon. +1 attack, Zenith Thermal Lance coming into play. Again, just the few extra Stalkers of ShoWTimE in the middle of the map as well. +2 attack, +1 armor. All still producing over here. So again, those upgrades brought in. That's one advantage ByuN currently has, is he has the +1 over 0-0, though +1 from ShoWTimE is not too far from finishing. That'll be done in the next few moments. Get that wrapped up. As I saw it in position, Prism just gets poked back a little bit, so just gets pushed down that right-hand side. Still seeing that Dark Shrine coming in, and well, a couple extra gates producing as well. Ghost Academy coming up, Sense Tower's about halfway done. The +2 attack also building on the Engineering Bay. The Vikings still pouring out over the base. Get as many of those up and running as possible as that Prism goes back down the left. A few more ghosts coming through. Disruptor, +2 attack, +1 armor all coming in. Little situation right now where, well, honestly, the game is going to slow down a lot. You know, ByuN doesn't want to go attacking into what is already a pretty good Colossus count. It's a massive map as well, so reinforcing can be quite the problem. Well, Ghost Stalkers heading into the center. A couple of tanks will unsiege. Relocate just a little bit over to the left-hand side. A couple of missile turrets coming up. The Ghosts coming through. Tanks still just sieging up on the high ground. We do have our Colossi, our Zealots, and our Stalkers all pressing forward. A couple of Disruptors coming along with that as well. Again, a +2 attack upgrade. We'll finish in a couple of moments from ShoWTimE, so it's going to be even upgrades once again here. This guy comes out. Army gets spotted. Coming up, Ghost is going to get picked off. Stalkers bringing back the rest of this army. Joining up in the center. Vikings still hanging out overhead. And then Shadow Stride just about to finish. +3 attack, +2 armor. Again, upgrades still just coming through. There's not really much else to say, guys. It's a very passive game. Got a little bit of movement, and actually going to have a fight breaking out here. As ByuN's Force Ult and the Watchtower get some very good EMPs off to start off the fight, so was able to just kind of stem up and trade decently with no shields on those units. Everything started dropping pretty swiftly. Jesus blink up to the 12 o'clock will come straight through, and Planetary Fortress is going to turn those few Dark Templar around. Missile turret there coming in. Just going to see the few more Vikings coming up as well. +1 ship weapons also in production, and these are just going to charge by into this mineral line. So a few SCVs. Take some friendly fire. 8 workers dead in total from these combination attacks. So I mean, you do get some damage done at least as ShoWTimE, but I do feel like we're in this kind of position where a lot of the damage being created right now is very, I guess I want to say superficial. You know, we're both in just, both players are just in such a macro position that a handful of workers here and a handful of workers there is not going to be the game-changing, be that game-changing at the moment, basically. Is massive fight here, though. This is huge for ByuN. What a jump on this entire army. The surround from the other side just nullified a lot of the splash damage, and ByuN just deleted the army of ShoWTimE. Holy crap. That was absolutely brutal. As our Bioforce continues down to the south. And just see a few SCVs going down on the counterattack. So ShoWTimE over there at least may be able to get rid of the base. The DTs are running out of DPS to actually get rid of the planetary. We just run out of repair at the very end there. Okay, well, ByuN loses a base. He's got replacements for that. He's obviously killed a base himself. And the DTs will continue to cause annoyances. You got to remember that this is also a scenario where ShoWTimE just, if he can rebuild, it's never going to quite be the army he previously had. Affording multiple Colossi and Disruptors seems very unlikely in this kind of situation. As the Assaults and the DTs continue to come through. I mean, there's so many workers going down on the other side of the map. ShoWTimE's just given up on defense. He is going full offense. Zealots, Stalkers, DTs, everything shredding through the economy of ByuN, and ByuN is losing economy. Guess let's see how it goes overall, as we just have our gateways getting knocked down. Obviously, the entire main base of ShoWTimE will fall very soon, so there goes the production, and we're going to be left with whatever is just currently standing, more or less. Fight continues to fight. Gateway's going down. Slimmer is going down. We have a couple more medevacs popping out. We do have 34 to 39 workers at the end of this. ByuN still has a 30 army supply lead or so. ByuN's army's still in this main base over here. Doesn't really have a lot of retreating options, so his army's split, and maybe ShoWTimE can find a way to fight this half of the army, or probably 2/3 of the army, and then maybe go and fight the other, reinforcing part of this army from ByuN. That's pretty much the only way you kind of win this as ShoWTimE. Problem is, if he's going to fight this army, he has to go up the ramp. which is actually maybe not going to be as bad as I thought it might be. The Zealots actually get up here pretty easily. Stalkers, their priority has got to be these medevacs. Stop the potential retreat. Try and stop the getaway. Stop any of these units from getting out alive. Obviously, ByuN puts himself in the best position possible in this corner, as honestly, ShoWTimE does a very good job of cleaning up. He gets to kill everything. It's just a question of, does he have enough units to then deal with everything all over again? He's mining that bottom right base again. A few new gateways back online. ShoWTimE fighting into these late stages of the game and keeping himself going. The difference is that ShoWTimE doesn't, ShoWTimE has to rebuild all his production. ByuN doesn't. And ByuN, I think the biggest issue for ByuN is just a couple of DTs that are still here and there. Forcing scans is going to be an annoyance at this stage with the, state of the game and the state of the economies. Balance of ShoWTimE's about halfway done. The orbital command's about halfway done. Again, warp gate, cyber core, all still coming through as well as we have our missile turret continuing up. Grabbing a DT already. Liberator set up, sieged across the frontier. A couple of ghosts still coming through. We do have 3 ghosts coming into production, and a couple of Vikings make their way down the right-hand side. Well, supplies are genuinely kind of coming close together again, as a few Stalkers will begin their harassment down on the bottom part of this. And knock one Stalker down as the biostims across. The Stalker's being chased. And a couple of Zealots coming through as well. Get rid of one more Marauder. We just chased this army down, so ByuN pushing ShoWTimE back. I think that's the biggest issue, is that obviously ShoWTimE's army is now just Stalker Zealots against Ghost Liberator Bio. Even if the numbers are even, the quality of army is 100% in ByuN's favor. Let's see how Stalkers and our Zealots come back through. Coming around this right-hand side, the Bioforce just going to come across, and we will just be seeing Stalkers blink forward, a couple of medevacs going down. Vikings will be landing, the few Zealots still being picked off. But this is, I think, going to be a bit too much. Stalkers all continuing to drop, and this is going to be ByuN showing us exactly how powerful his army is against what ShoWTimE has. And also, I guess you could also mention the +2 armor against no, instead of no +3 or anything, but I think that's absolutely fine as well. So, all looking good. Yeah, a little bit of bio. I'm just going to push down to the south. Liberator setting up. And a couple of Vikings will land as well. Work our way through some of these probes. A disruptor shot from the side. The bio will jump on it with the EMP to guarantee the kill. GG's, and ByuN is going to pick up game 1 of our best of 3 here against ShoWTimE. So, nothing new. Just stuff taking forever. In the bottom right side, our blue Protoss is going to be down 1 game. This is ShoWTimE. In the top left, our red Terran from the Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. So TLDR, what we've learned, guys, is that basically some people say flat and some people say apartment, and it probably more or less means the same thing. Cool. Languages are different in different parts of the world. Next up on WardiTV, is Pepsi and Cola the same drink? OMG. You don't know flat's used there at all? Yeah, I think flat's a very British word, no? So yeah. Anyways. StarCraft, let's actually talk about this series. Obviously a very cool game number 1 into a pretty interesting game number 2. How do I know it's going to be interesting? I have no idea, I just feel like it's going to be. It's an engineering bay block to start at the very least, so that's already kind of a point of intrigue to begin with. ByuN choosing to try and force ShoWTimE to a different location initially, or just to do something in general a little bit different. Obviously delaying that Nexus. ShoWTimE sees it pretty early, so we don't get a lot of HP on the engineering base, so it's not going to be the most difficult to remove, especially with a Zealot and a couple of probes. Probably get rid of this pretty quick, and we probably just take the expansion on the natural still. So see that pylon coming up, get that set to go, and the command center will be on its way up here, so just get the command center up and running into play. As the 2 probes and the Zealot knock down the initial engineering bay. Was that a cancel? Oh, it was a kill, so no cancel out of ByuN, a little bit of a mistake. ShoWTimE hardcore proxy in the Stargate, by the way, as well. It's kind of cool because you made it look like you just want to take the Nexus on the natural as usual, but in fact, you actually want to go and put the Stargate down right next to your opponent's base, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So, yeah, Stargate next to the main base, and that's obviously potential for ShoWTimE to do a lot, especially as ByuN goes 2 more barracks. He's only going to have Marines. He won't have access to factory-based unit defense or starport-based unit defense, so yeah, this could get quite complicated. Let's see what ShoWTimE does with first unit. Should just be an Oracle here. I'd be shocked if this was a Void Ray, which would be pretty much the only other option. Proxy, believe it or not, Proxy and Phoenix are not that crazy, or not that good. As you see, our Oracle is going to Chrono Boost out of the Stargate, and a few SCVs already going down. By the way, sorry, I was following Inu's camera. Usually Inu's very good at obsing, and obviously just missed that as 6 SCVs died to just the little Adept attack at the front. Zealot and the Adept get a bunch of workers that pull in, and you know what? It's obviously bad to lose some Marines here too, or even have a low HP Marine, because it means a better time for this Oracle about to be had. As Oracle flies in, and man, you already lost 6 SCVs. Here's going to be 7. Oh my god, we've got an Adept here to hit the Marines as well, so we can kill it even more quickly with the Oracle. This is really bad, as we're going to get rid of all of the Marines. Second Oracle's already about to complete, and again, it's not like you're about to pop out a Cyclone or something. Now, this is very bad for ByuN. This is a lot of damage taken, and ShoWTimE bouncing straight back here in game number 2. That lengthier game 1 going the way of ByuN. ShoWTimE wastes no time to tie up this series. And he's just going to knock that straight into his favor. GG's, 1-1 apiece. Where you want to be. As we have in the bottom corner, our Blue Protoss player winning quickly in game number 2, ShoWTimE. Top left from the Shopify Rebellion, our red Terran, ByuN. The lower bracket looks like an upper bracket. Yeah, tournament is just straight up stacked, man. Honestly, like, the first few rounds have been already crazy, and I feel like we're going to have a very good day tomorrow. Not that I want to eliminate players, but with everything on the line, elimination on the line, I feel like it's going to be great. Cracks on the way as we have our probe scout coming. Obviously, there's not going to be an initial, not going to be seen an initial little bit of engineering bay block or anything this time from ByuN. In fact, he doesn't even send an SCV onto the map. So, different approach here from game 2 to game 3. With our SCV going to chase a little probey around, obviously try and stop this from doing too much. And this, with the 1 gas only, will be an expansion from ByuN, which is what ShoWTimE will try and slow down. But double SCV on the low ground. That probe can't stick around here too long. Turns away now. Command Center goes in. I love that he sends the hurt SCV back to the high ground, because that just means you're potentially going to be able to take one more shot on anything harassing the low ground SCV before you actually have that Command Center delayed. So maybe that could make a difference some of the time here. So obviously be quite cool as our probe moves on down to the bottom right side. Command Center coming along, coming up to being about halfway done. Reactor's going to be completing. There's a couple of extra Command Centers coming out, a couple of Marines still coming through. And the Stargate building up here from ShoWTimE as well. So again, that Stargate out. The Warp Gate is on the way. So Stargate is the priority. And again, 3 CC from ByuN, so he's going to go into that greedy 3 command centers with now extra racks coming up behind it as well. So yeah, ByuN just feeling the greed, feeling this build. Clearly feels like it's something that's been working for him recently, and like to try and hopefully see something out of this. ShoWTimE has the initial Adept coming across the map here as well, just to try and put on some early pressure. Obviously, see if you can keep an eye on things as well would generally be a good sign, or a good thing to do. Like I say, this has really become a much more popular way of playing recently. Just this consistent and just non-stop kind of 3cc. Players have just been really kind of delving into this in the TvP matchup. It's been, like I say, just kind of popular recently. Depth coming around, a few Marines chilling out over there. Couple gates coming up, robotics facility coming through. Just gonna see a couple extra probes coming in. That Adept shades up into toward the main base. Depot's just going to drop off, and a couple more Marines coming out as well as the engineering bay gets the +1 attack upgrade started. So, +1 attack on the way out. Stimpack still coming through here as well. The extra Marines in production. And the robotics facility about to finish up as well. The gateway is about halfway through. A sentry is producing. Just have Marines actually getting rid of one of the oracles straight away. So. Oracle goes down. Second Oracle actually going to be able to stand and fight for a little bit. A couple of SCVs do end up dropping there as well. Obviously, losing an Oracle is always never good. And this Adept shade and probably doesn't really want to be here. It's going to die. That's almost a guarantee. It does allow for the Oracle to get one more SCV at least, but doesn't really feel like meaningful damage and just less units to defend with should ByuN launch a counter-offensive. And again, he's playing that triple CC. He's going to have good economy behind this. I like this a lot for ByuN still. I mean, a few SCVs shaved off does give ShoWTimE that 6-ish worker lead a Protoss would like to have, but it came at a cost. It came at some of his, at the cost of some of his initial tech, and that is, like I say, quite pricey a lot of the time here. Marines continue through. Combat shield and +1 attack are all still on the way, and that's actually ByuN already coming across the map to maybe try and fight. ShoWTimE did just produce an Immortal. I think that's going to be very important right now. Some extra units to help defend. That's actually perfect force fields. Cuts 4 Marines off in the front. Make sure they don't get away. And actually good job from ShoWTimE. Some good value there just for a couple of force fields. Any more Marines? Maybe ByuN can get some units out of it. Any less Marines, it's maybe not worthwhile. I'd say it was pretty much the perfect amount to kind of cut in half. So a nice little job well done in that regard too. Marines come over, Oracle taking a lot of damage and actually just going to escape up the sides. A couple of other Marines try and chase that Oracle down. Oracle gets all the way out to the top corner, so is getting away there. Combat shield, concussive shell all being brought up, and a couple of depots from ByuN going to now drop down onto that low ground. Well, ByuN's full 3 base setup obviously now landed and able to get properly fully into play. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE is just playing across his own 3 bases. His economy's still good, though. I mean, we look at the income graph, you can see ByuN a little bit of a spike, but ShoWTimE, as his 3rd base gets set up, this really should just be settled down across the board. And Forge just now starting. A couple of extra gates are coming out. And that Ghost Academy building from ByuN in the main base as well. So just getting that Ghost Academy up and running. SCVs going down. We do have our Bioforce and picked away at as well. So a little bit of damage there. We do have the Ghost Academy is about to finish up. Forge still coming through. And a few cannons still producing on the side of ShoWTimE. CC goes down on the natural. Again, a couple of Marauders, handful of Marines all coming out. So far, so good. We'll just see the Dark Shrine as well. ShoWTimE ready to play this in the later game. ShoWTimE loves getting those DTs up. I know it's a typical thing for Protoss to do in PvT, but I feel like ShoWTimE really hammers hard on the DTs. Like, he often is not afraid to go 14 plus Dark Templar, blinking around on top of bases once we get to that sort of point. And he's, and maybe it's just because ShoWTimE naturally gets to the later game a lot because that's how he likes to play, that I kind of sort of associate that with ShoWTimE. But either way, it's definitely a factor, and we see him already building up to it now. We're kind of on the way to that kind of game last time, and then ByuN found that surround. ShoWTimE was unable to really fight off the Terran army, getting flanked from two sides. Hopefully this time he can have a bit of a better go of it. As we already see a few medevacs peeling off over to the left. The army still pulling back up to the top. Oracle will go down. Full Bioforce just unloading with the few Zealots, Sentries, and Colossi. Trying to just meet this and say, hey, we can fight out in the open if you want to. We've got the Phoenix support as well. Yeah, ShoWTimE just not afraid at all of what ByuN has, and the fact that ByuN's in the middle of the map doesn't seem to matter at all to ShoWTimE. Seems to be unfazed by this for the moment. His own fourth base obviously is now up, as ByuN's going to try and take the forward fourth base, so that will be established now as well. Now, a few siege tanks sitting between base 2 and 3 and 4. And obviously, most importantly, the Viking count is growing. It's important because these Colossi are one of the things you need to get through. Would not be surprised to see, okay, Ghost Academy is already out and Ghost coming up, so yeah, that, I was going to say, just with the +2 attack start, as you know, generally Terran players do delay +2 upgrades until they start to have, you know, Ghosts and Vikings on the way. Basically, as you take the fourth base, you prioritize a little bit of Ghost and Viking, and then you go into +2 upgrades, and that's kind of what's happening now. So, really, ByuN playing the script when it comes to this kind of TvP, you know, passing through the mid-game sort of stage. Phoenix turning around, the Vikings get there, Phoenix getting picked off for the moment. Having a Disruptor, Guardian Shield going up, the rest of this army still pushing back through. A couple of SCVs going down. I think that's 7 SCVs already picked off here. The tank fire good onto the Colossi. The Bio getting chased, a couple of force fields immediately come into play, and we do have Vikings pushing the Colossi back as well. Rest of this army slipping through. Disruptor lands for a couple of Marines. This Disruptor goes out over to the right side as well. 2 more Marauders and a Marine going down also. Nice little catch there as the army of ShoWTimE will come back up the left-hand side. These few Zealots working their way around. Gonna go towards the Sensor Tower and, well, not gonna do much at all. Quick cleanup, no issues. Couple more tank shots going off. A little bit of Disruptor fire still coming through. That Sensor Tower is still coming into play as well, so bringing all of this up right now. We do have the scan, we do have this army coming across, and again, just a bit of bio. Moving back and forth for a few moments. We're going to go charging across. Ghosts ready to EMP up this force as well, as ShoWTimE threatens to come through these rocks. And the problem is, any location you attack into here is ShoWTimE. Like, you've got a good chunk of Zealots, and they're pretty much always attacking up a ramp into some amount of Sim City. Like, obviously, none of that really feels ideal for you. Few more command centers, all on the way. So ByuN accepting that this game's just going late. ShoWTimE can't find a way to attack in. ByuN's already setting up for just, again, much later game. Advanced ballistics, a liberator range on the way out. All of that being brought through into play. ShoWTimE rotates around this left side. A few Vikings come through. We knock down a Colossus. This Disruptor shot tries to fire. Not quite landing on that Bio army. And everything from ByuN pulling back up the left-hand side. We do have a lot of Liberators on the way as well, by the way. So Advanced Ballistics comes online. You get +3 attack, +2 armor. The Liberators are all coming through. I mean, it's probably getting to the stage where you kind of have to ask ShoWTimE, when are we going to get the Fleet Beacon? When are we going to drop down into some of that further tech, such as Tempests, Carriers? It's not going to be long until he needs something proper to deal with this amount of Liberators. Like, just moving around and, you know, trying to get Stalkers to jump on the Libs is not a reliable form of, you know, it's just not a reliable answer, straight up. It's not a reliable answer at all, in fact, so that's something we have to start, like I say, really asking ourselves here as to what we're going to do about it. And like I say, usually the answer is just get a Fleet Beacon and start making some of those carriers make your somewhat ultimate army. And I would say that ShoWTimE's safe enough to be doing that because he's got the presence on the map to really be doing it. Now, this is going to be fun as both players will start to lose out on a base. ShoWTimE loses on the bottom left. He's knocked down at only 4 bases, actually, as he loses that, but he is going to get rid of some good tech here, including the Ghost Academy. I just don't know if he'll be able to get rid of this base himself. He knocked down the planetary fortress that was building, but yeah, this orbital will just lift up and get out of there, so that's really not so much of an issue. Some DTs actually warping down on the bottom side, and they start to slice and dice their way through a chunk of that bio. Stalker's blinking forward. It's going to chase some things down as well. Vikings landing, catching a whole chunk of the Disruptors that were in the top still, and actually ShoWTimE is losing a few units that just get chased down in general, so ByuN taking an advantage here. Now ShoWTimE has a ton of money to spend, and he will start to rebuild almost instantly into a group of Zealots, a couple more Disruptors. Obviously ShoWTimE has had good economy that hasn't really been hurt throughout this game until just recently when he lost that base. Now, look how quickly he's remaxed, just completely remaxed, rebuilding the base on the 6 o'clock. He's got the top right that's come online as well. This macro game, guys, is just going to keep on grinding through at the moment. It definitely felt like a good few moments from ByuN, though. Resources lost will start to turn into his favor slightly. Stalker's blink, getting rid of one Lib. I mean, any Lib you can get rid of, brilliant, but now Stalker's not quite here to protect the Colossus, but Super Battery, oh, it's not enough. As I don't agree with him going for Colossus 2. It feels like you're going to lose a bunch of Vikings, but he gets it pretty swiftly. Super Battery didn't keep it alive all that long. I guess that's the difference of just a few of the Vikings hitting every time, and in that case, every Viking hit both times they fired at the Colossus. So that one went down way sooner than the initial one. Big EMPs, we're fighting through Liberation Zones. I can't say I love this for ShoWTimE. He's got some Zealots onto the bio, though. Is that going to be enough? It looks like he's going to be able to move on through. The Liberators are all gone, and now ShoWTimE is on the chase, and ByuN is the one that's on the run. But as these Zealots disappear, I can't imagine there's much more opportunity to chase here as ShoWTimE. You've got Disruptors, but Disruptors are much more a disengage unit than a chase unit. So this attack's kind of going the wrong way for that to be good. But there's the DTs. We mentioned that ShoWTimE likes his DTs, and obviously this is kind of normal. 14 of them take down this planetary fortress, and immediately now ByuN has to just replace that with an orbital that is right next to it, but that's going to be less defended, more easily picked off later. It's kind of funny though, because having an orbital is beneficial because you can just lift it up. You can't lift up a planetary. Being able to lift a base is pretty much the best defense you can have against Dark Templar, because even a planetary doesn't kill them off soon enough if there's any amount of repair, even if there's repairing, because the DTs just do that much DPS. Well, this is, you know, what happens when ShoWTimE gets rich, when ByuN hasn't been able to slow him down. And you can see ByuN's supply plummeting. You know, 20 workers dead. His bank was never massive either, so ByuN has never, you know, not been in position to just instantly rebuild or anything. ShoWTimE is pushing through over here, and he breaks up this ramp with the Zealots, through the Marauders, through the tanks, and ShoWTimE actually just not stopping, although the Liberators might slow him down. We blink in for one. The Disruptors actually get connected on units that are coming through this choke point. We do lose a few more of the Stalkers, and that looks as though it's going to be the end of this attack, but we still even have 2 DTs in the main base just being annoying. It's going to run around, blink away one more time, going to try and knock down this base, but now at 37. SCV is dead here for ByuN. Losing a lot of workers. Disruptor shot firing through, not finding the connection we were looking for. ShoWTimE just throwing units at ByuN and seeing what sticks at the moment. The only problem I have for him is that the army supplies are kind of even, and while ShoWTimE has more eco, if ByuN can find a way to fight, maybe it can still go very well for him. Could still be very cool. Seeing here now, our 5 SCVs going down. Army of ByuN continues through the south side. It's going to Grab an observer there. Nice little pick off. We're just going to get him straight down this bottom side. Straight onto this Nexus. Knock that down. That's an easy pick. Well, ShoWTimE's still working on the right side and the upper right base. ByuN's going to try and go for a large drop into the main now. Keep the pressure up. The few Phoenix getting over here. The first medevac going down. As Zealot coming through. DT as well. Scan goes in. A couple more Zealots will warp in. And we're building 3 Colossi at once. I don't hate that. There's not really many Vikings in place, so Glass I can go a long way. The few Phoenix actually help to get rid of one of these medevacs. In fact, we're going to get rid of a lot of the medevacs. There's no end. Yeah, we're going to get rid of every medevac. Thank you very much. We'll take that. Absolutely. No worries at all. Really appreciate it. It's a massive catch. As we see the Phoenix getting back to it, just lifting up a couple of these Marauders and a couple more SCVs. 2, 3, 4, 5 SCVs going down as harassment hits once again. ShoWTimE has got DTs on this base. That's what it was. So DT's getting active. The Prism just pulls away, so keeping itself alive for a later point of this game. It's not going to let itself go down. Obviously, Prism is very useful, so ShoWTimE knows protecting that is, you know, got a little bit of importance to it for sure. Zealot, Colossus Disruptor up around the top. As a few Stalkers go and grab the Liberator there, so knock that down immediately. Biostims, tank fires, you can see the Disruptor shot going to flip a couple of Marauders. Next, about halfway done. A few Liberators still producing, man. And again, just game resetting a little bit. ByuN still on a lot of lacking supply, however. He's not really rebuilding the SCVs to kind of stay in the eco game. And obviously, ShoWTimE now might just be able to retake a base and then really will have a big eco lead with that extra base to mine from. That might actually make a massive difference as 4 libs, a few ghosts, all coming out. ShoWTimE's force out down to the bottom. And nuke our way through that sensor tower here to take that down nice and quickly. Binary taking a few more shots. We actually knocked down a Disruptor straight away. I still love ByuN's army, right? Lib Ghost, to me, is like the dream in TvP. And I'd be more worried if like ShoWTimE had carriers or so, but I still kind of look at the two armies and can absolutely see how ByuN wins fights. And to be fair, army supply isn't the issue for him. He might be low on workers, but his army supply is keeping up. ShoWTimE's obviously building up a bank here, so that's worth mentioning that ShoWTimE's going to have the bank to instantly rebuild a lot more easily than ByuN will. I suppose ShoWTimE's also in this position where he can probably just work around and keep denying bases and just take these kind of fringe trades where you just kind of fight on the edges of bases, and you never really commit so hard in. You just don't need to commit, you know, super hardcore in or anything, right? Pulling back up into the main, try and get a bit more done. Again, a few more Marauders on the way out. Tech Lab as well. So production continuing through as our Nexus is going to finish in a few moments. Our cannon's on the way, a couple of batteries coming up as well. The army gets pushed back instantly there as the Stalkers get shaved off, pushed over to the sides. This tower is going to get picked up. We do have our Liberators going to turn around and begin to siege. Disruptors. Well, first one goes down already, so first Disruptor drops. Now the Orbital drops into the bottom left corner as well, so we get that set up. A few more DTs all coming through. Wait, not DTs, a few more Disruptors. At this stage, you know, ByuN is just battling to get maxed, and now he is maxed. Well, he's been battling to get maxed, and now he is maxed. Here's something from ShoWTimE I actually wish we'd seen a long time ago. I've said it a couple of times, but Fleet Beacon and the extra Stargates. There was a point where ShoWTimE's bank got drained, but I feel like there's also been points where ShoWTimE could have easily afforded that and just built a couple less units already. So yeah, just feels like that could have been something that came in earlier. It would have just made life a bit easier for him. Anyways, doesn't matter. It's on the way now. 10 SCVs just dropped, though. ByuN is not in a position where replacing SCVs is fun. He's got a bit of money, but like he's already on such a low work account, he will be forced to replace those every time. And like you say, that doesn't come freely, right? As we knock down a Disruptor with the Liberators, and again, do feel like ByuN's biggest strength right now is just the army. He's got a lot of it. They love the quality of it as well. It's a lot of Ghosts, a lot of Liberators. In the right position, this army can do absolutely anything it wants to. More Ghost snipes we're trying to line up there. 3 probes, 5 SCVs, Stalkers blinking forward, a few Marines and Marauders getting knocked down too. That was almost very awkward. The Disruptor taking a few more shots, doesn't matter too much now. We do have our Bioforce going back around the right-hand side. And away we go with that as we have our, again, just Liberator shots, getting some damage dealt. Again, there's a few Stalkers wanting to come back through, but a couple of them going down immediately. Not going to be too successful as, of course, ShoWTimE. This is out in another location. Still ByuN just being annoying, splitting up the force. Now that he's got so much of it, splitting it up can be very terrifying because there's just so much of it at any single place. A chunk of snipes go down on these Zealots to start. Just trying to clean up the initial threat of this attack, and ShoWTimE's already backing it up, so it doesn't feel like he can attack on through. And again, just kind of bashing their faces against the wall, both players, neither really able to progress against the other. Who's that better for? I mean, honestly, I still think I like it for ShoWTimE. The extra economy all this time is now giving him the bank to rebuild with, so whenever a fight does break out, ShoWTimE is going to have the money to try and reset the situation in a big way. A couple additional Tempests producing through, and like I say, I mean, I think that is a major, major positive for ShoWTimE. I wanted Tempests. I said carriers at one point, but I think at this point Tempests are fine because the game's very slow. And what the Tempests let you do is the Tempests can consistently and reliably nuke down location. Not nuke down maybe, but they can work their way through positions and they can maybe force the fight. Or force a reaction from the Terran player that maybe pushes him in a position he didn't want to be in, perhaps. Again, this base is not allowed to come up from ShoWTimE, so ByuN doing a good job of limiting ShoWTimE to the bases he already has. I do think that, you know, ShoWTimE could probably do with, as he actually catches a lot of that army, ShoWTimE could do with the extra base just for some extra gas. His minerals and gas are not really quite equalized at all just yet, as this is a full cleanup on this upper right army, but it comes at the cost of the bottom base. So one of the fresher mining bases of ShoWTimE is knocked down here, and ByuN will work his way straight through the next Nexus as well. Again, this is where the rebuild comes into play, and ShoWTimE just has the money to rebuild instantly. ByuN will take a good fight, though. Good EMPs going down. Zealots being cleaved through. Stalkers as well. Marauders continue to drop. Now the Stalkers go down, though. This is the Colossi showing up very late in this fight. ShoWTimE fighting this a little bit disjointedly, honestly, as ByuN lifts up into a medevac. Just as he does, it gets nuked by the Tempest, and there goes a second. 2 full medevacs dying off. He escapes with 16 supply units. That maybe could have been more. Now units just wandering around into Colossus fire, and ShoWTimE is suddenly on the offensive. Maybe there's not much of a way to slow him down here, as ByuN's lost a lot the last few moments. ShoWTimE still has money to spend, mind you. But these Tempests are being game-changing, because now you can just sit here and chip your way through the base, as I've mentioned before, and you're kind of forcing the issue as you go. ShoWTimE whoops in a mass of Stalkers as we work our way through Liberator number 1. Zealots flood through. There's a lot more Liberators that just sieged up. We're not going to rush into that. ShoWTimE says I'd rather back it up and take it a little bit more easily for a few more moments. Stalkers blink in, the Liberator goes down, Tempest shots again, and Liberator still taking connections. ShoWTimE is maxed here, 28 minutes on Grezvan, and it looks as though ShoWTimE is maybe on the push to end it all. And as ByuN running through with just a few units, DTs are back, and they're working their way through the top side of things. ByuN is losing more and more real estate as the minutes pass on by. A few Vikings are trying to put in some work against these Tempests, but it's so minimal what you can achieve there. And ShoWTimE is going to take it 2-1 as he knocks down ByuN in the first round of the winner bracket. Oh my goodness. The lower bracket is just so freaking stacked. Like, it's getting more and more ridiculous how busy the lower bracket is turning out to be. And ByuN is going to be down there. And we'll have to try and fight his